What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Now, as we near an end of 2020, I just want to say thank you guys so much for making this year an unbelievable year for this channel. We saw a ton of growth, and again, I just want to say thank you guys so much. I know that 2020 was rough on a lot of us. A lot of us didn't get the opportunity to bowl nearly as much as we wanted to. I'm really hoping that 2021, things start to get a lot better and they can open up bowling all around the world. So on today's video, we're going to look back at the top 5 balls, Motiv balls, that came out in 2020. Stay tuned after the intro. So for today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 Motiv balls that came out in 2020. I'm only counting bowling balls that were released from January to December. The list of balls that were eligible for this are the Alpha Jackal, the Trident Nemesis, the Ripcord Flight, the Desert Tank, the Thrill Pink Yellow, the Jackal Flash, the VIP, the Forge Flare, and the Fatal Venom. Now, this list is strictly my opinion, so don't roast me in the comments if you don't agree with my list. But let me know down below in the comments what your top 5 bowling balls would be that came out this year. If you guys like this video and like the content that I'm creating, I would super appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date every time I drop a new video. It helps me a ton the more you guys like my videos and the more you guys subscribe. All right, so without further ado, we're gonna get right into the list. Coming in at number 5 was the Alpha Jackal. The Alpha Jackal features the Predator V2 core, which in 15 pounds has an RG of 2.47, a differential of 0.054, and an intermediate differential of 0.015. Now, what that means for the Alpha Jackal is that the core wants to get into a roll very early, and it's going to produce a significant amount of flare because of how high that differential is. Wrapped around that Predator V2 core is the Coercion HV3 solid reactive cover, so it is a very strong, very smooth control cover. The box finish on the Alpha is 2000 grit laser scan sand. The layout on my Alpha Jackal is 70 by 4.5 by 30. The Alpha Jackal for me sees a lot of play whenever there's a lot of volume in the middle and I want to keep my angles a little bit more shut down in front of me, or on the very short patterns when I want that really good hook stop motion is when the Alpha Jackal tends to be amazing for me. The Alpha Jackal coming in at number 5 on my list just goes to show you how good the balls were that came out this year. Any other year, this Alpha Jackal could have easily been number 1 or number 2 on the list. What I like best about this Alpha Jackal is that it's all about control, control, control. This ball is very good on those long patterns where there's a ton of volume, because this core and cover combo handle those high volumes with ease. But then it's also very good on short because it doesn't want to over jump in the back part of the lane. This is the epitome of a very, very versatile, big asymmetric solid ball. Ultimately, the reason this Alpha Jackal came in at number 5 is just because the other 4 balls on this list I match up with even more than this Alpha Jackal. Most of my bowling is done on typical house shots, so one of the things that I really love about this ball as well is that despite it being a big asymmetrical solid, it is still a very good option on those typical house shots. This ball came out all the way back on January 15th, and it really set the bar extremely high for all the balls that came out this year. Coming in at number 4 on my list is the Fatal Venom. The Fatal Venom has the gear core, which is one of my favorite cores in all of bowling, and it's the core that's in my favorite ball of all time, the Venom Shock. It has an RG of 2.48 and a max differential of 0.034. Those numbers to me are absolutely magic. Then wrapped around that gear core is the Infusion Pro cover, which comes out of box at a 5500 laser scan polish. This Fatal Venom has been an amazing Game 3, Game 4 ball when I really gotta clear the fronts and see that nice down lane motion. The layout on my Fatal Venom is 50 by 4.5 by 35. So the Fatal Venom coming in at number 4 is mostly because it's still one of our newer balls. I really believe that given enough time, this Fatal Venom could have easily been a little bit higher on this list. Now, since drilling this Fatal Venom, it has been one of my absolute go-to balls in like Game 3, Game 4, when I really gotta get left and create a lot of shape, especially when there's a defined friction down lane. In this video, I recorded all 5 of these balls on the same lane, and I recorded this Fatal Venom last just because I really wanted to show you guys in what situation I really like this ball. when I can slide left of like 25, anywhere left of 25, and I really got to send it right, this ball has been absolutely amazing to me, and it is a true version of the Venom shock in every single sense. It is a Venom shock motion that's a little bit longer and a little bit more shape down lane, and for me, that's a home run. Coming in at number 3 on our list is the Jackal Flash. That's right, another Jackal on our list. It just goes to show you how good this core is. The Jackal Flash features a Predator V2 core, which again has an RG of 2.47, a max differential of 0.054, and an intermediate differential of 0.015. And just like the Alpha Jackal, the core in this ball, because it's the same, wants to get into a roll very early, and it's going to produce a lot of hook potential. But unlike the Alpha Jackal that was number 5 on the list, the Jackal Flash has the Infusion HV Pearl reactive cover. This pearl cover is so good. It handles the higher volumes of oil, unlike a lot of other pearl covers, but it still wants to get down lane and still wants to create a lot of down lane motion. The layout on my Jackal Flash is 45 by 4 3/4 by 20. The Jackal Flash for me, since I've drilled it, has been the ultimate get left, hook the whole lane with. Anytime that I start with a bigger solid like the Forge Flare or like the Alpha Jackal, and then I need to get left and really bend the lane, this Jackal Flash has been absolutely amazing for me. Now, the Jackal Flash coming in at number 3 might be a big surprise to a lot of you guys, especially based on the poll that I took on Facebook. A lot of you guys thought that the Jackal Flash should have easily been number 1 or number 2. And let me tell you, this might be my favorite asymmetrical pearl ball that I have ever thrown. The Jackal Flash released on September 16th, and ever since drilling it, it has been a huge staple in my bag. On the fresh in league, it is really good with a little bit of surface, like 3000, and then a lot more lately, I've been throwing it with like a little lane shine or 4000 as a transition ball. What I really like about this Jackal Flash is just how much length and how much down lane motion this ball creates. And then because it has a really big asymmetrical core, it handles the higher volumes extremely well for a pearl. Now, you all know how much I love talking about versatility, but we can't have a conversation about versatility without talking about the Jackal Flash. I think it's crazy that the Jackal Flash is only number 3 on the list. This is going to be one of my favorite bowling balls of all time, and it's not even the number 1 ball for this year. Okay, so now we're into the top 2, and I gotta be really honest with you guys. I went back and forth so many times, over and over again, deciding which ball was going to be number 2, which ball is going to be number 1. Both of these bowling balls that are left on this list have been absolutely amazing for me and will go down as some of my favorite Motiv balls that have ever been poured. That's how much I love these bowling balls. So coming in at number 2 is the Forge Flare. The Forge Flare features the Detonator weight block, which has an RG of 2.47 and a differential of 0.055. This ball, the core, wants to get into a roll very, very early because the RG is so low, and then the differential being 0.055, it wants to produce a ton of flare. This ball has a really, really high hook potential, but that's not what makes this ball special. What makes this ball special, in my opinion, is the cover. The Detonator weight block is wrapped around the Coercion MXC solid reactive cover, which comes out of box at a 2000 grit laser scan sand. The layout on my Forge Flare is 50 by 5 by 20. Now let me just tell you guys, this Forge Flare is something special. I wholeheartedly mean that. I have never seen a ball that wants to be this early and shape a ton down lane, and it is easily the strongest ball that we have right now. It is every bit as early as the Alpha Jackal, but it wants to shape a lot more down lane. This, I can't say it enough just how special this ball is. So the Forge Flare coming in at number 2 is a very tough decision. And if you asked Andrew, Andrew would 100% say that the Forge Flare should have been number 1. Since drilling this Forge Flare, I have not stopped throwing it one time. The Forge Flare released on December 9th, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite bowling balls of all time. I super match up with this ball. It is a very, very unique motion. The ball wants to get into a roll very, very early, but it still wants to produce a considerable amount of shape, especially for a ball that has such a strong core and such a strong cover. The Forge Flare is an absolute must-have in everyone's bag. The cover on this bowling ball is something special. I personally didn't match up very well with the original Forge and really the Forge Fire either. But the cover on this Forge Flare makes this ball amazing. This is the type of bowling ball that my eyes and my game just absolutely love. And I really hope that this ball stays in the product line for a very, very long time. Now, number one on my list, if you guys know me even a little bit outside of YouTube, then you already know what my number one ball is. It is the ultimate ball, the daddy ball for me. It is the Desert Tank. The Desert Tank features the Flux core, which has an RG of 2.57, which is on the very, very high side, and a max differential of 0.015, which is on the very, very low side. So you get a core that wants to really get far down lane, and it has a very, very low flare. So the hook potential on the ball is very low. Wrapped around that Flux core is the Frixium Plus Pearl microcell cover, which comes out of box at a 2000 grit laser scan sand. And every time I do a video involving the Desert Tank, I always tell you guys the same thing. I have never matched up with a bowling ball so good, so fast, on so many different patterns like I have with this Desert Tank. The layout on my Desert Tank is 45 by 4 by 25. I'm not overselling it when I tell you guys that this Desert Tank can ultimately become my favorite ball of all time if it's not already there. I match up with this ball so well when I can keep my angles in front of me. I shot my high series ever with the Desert Tank. I shot 826. I cashed multiple tournaments with this ball. I had the front 9 or 10 several times with this ball. It is just a ball that when it is in play, I don't match up better with anything when this ball is in play. It is insane how much I love this ball. And ultimately, because of that, is the reason why I went with it at number one and not number two. The Forge Flare is a really good ball, but when I'm matched up with both of them, there is nothing better in my hands than this Desert Tank. There's not much else that I can say about this Desert Tank that I haven't already. The Desert Tank released on June 17th, and ever since I drilled it, I have absolutely fallen in love with this ball. When I tell you guys that I have literally never matched up with a ball this good ever, I wholeheartedly mean that. The only other ball ever that I have as much trust and as much faith in as this Desert Tank is the Venom Shock. For me, the Venom Shock and the Desert Tank are 1A and 1B, and I can't even decide between which one would be A and B at this point. This Desert Tank for me is the ultimate. Like, when I tell you guys that it is the daddy ball, it is because if I'm throwing this ball and I'm matched up with it, I am going to strike. Now, I definitely don't want to come across as arrogant or cocky by any means, because I'm really not. But this feeling that this Desert Tank gives me when I am matched up with it and throwing strikes at will, it makes me feel like I can bowl against anyone. And for that reason, this ball is number one. Well, there you have it, folks. There's my list for the top 5 Motiv balls that came out in 2020. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this list and if you were surprised by any entries on the list. Click right here to watch one of my other videos. Click right here to subscribe. Till next time, guys. Happy New Year.